Have you ever worried that your team's messages weren't coming across as sarcastic enough? Well, look no further, worry no more. As of today, you will be fully empowered to send messages that your colleagues will absolutely understand as being 100% sarcastic and not genuine. I'm Jordan the IT guy, and today, let's chat about how to build your very own PowerShell invoke Spongebob function. Alright everybody, I couldn't keep the seriousness up any more further than that. Today we're going to be walking through how to create something that's just a little bit silly here. We're going to show how we can basically take a string, cut it apart into a whole bunch of characters, and kind of randomize and make it, uppercase, lowercase, like the weird SpongeBob font that people have seen and talked about where to indicate like, right? If you've ever seen the meme, you know what I mean. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this. So the first thing we've got here is I had to create a string. In this case, I've created a string that is, I absolutely hate ramen, okay? So here it is, it's my string, I absolutely hate ramen. We collectively all know that that is, in fact, very, very false, right? So the very first thing that we need to do here is we need to know about three different methods. It's three different methods, okay? And in order to find them, let's go ahead and let's do string, and we're gonna do period, and then again, that control space, it's our friend, right? I'm going to go ahead and drag this up here, and we can kind of see, let's see if we can get a little more room here to actually get this in. There we go. So we're going to look at three of them. The ones we're going to look at are toChar array, that's this one right here, which is going to convert our string into an array, which is weird, right? We already talked about how strings are array. They are, but they also aren't because they're objects, because PowerShell is weird, right? So this is going to force it into an array of chars, so it has to be read that way, okay? We're also going to use this, let's see where to go, to lower option, as well as this to upper option here, to force characters of the string randomly to uppercase and lowercase letters, okay? Now, we are going to be using some concepts we haven't really talked about yet in this series, but I think that's okay. After all, every now and again, we just got to learn something a little bit funny. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take string, and we're going to make this, we're going to do char array, and we're going to say equal to string dot to char array. What this is going to do, if we go ahead and hit enter on this, is, if we go ahead and delete this down here, do $char array and hit enter. What this does is it creates an array of letters, letter space, letter space, letter space, and so on and so forth, okay? So what that means now is if we were to do something like for each, which is a loop, okay? We haven't talked about loops yet, and that's okay. So we'll do for each $char and $char array. Now the reason I'm using char here is because char is an actual type. It's indicative of a character, right? And what I'm going to do then is just write do char. Okay, just to kind of showcase what this does. It basically says, hey, for each char, write the char out, and then write out, let's do write post char, and then a number, right? So just a number. So this is going to loop through, it's going to write every letter in, and it's going to write the number 1 after the letter. Okay, simple enough, very simple things, okay? Now, we're going to make this a little bit more complicated, okay? What we're going to do here now is we are going to go ahead and we are going to throw in an evaluation using an if statement that says, hey, let's get a random number and let's evaluate what the position of that is. And based on that along the way, randomly make it upper or lowercase. So in order to do that, we need to use a commandlet called get random, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to call this the randomizer. So we'll call it randomizer, and we'll say equals, and then we'll do $, let's do $, whoopsies, do $, parentheses, get random. It's going to get a random number, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to use a math function here that you may not be familiar with called mod2. And what that basically means is it's going to say, hey, get a random whole number here, okay? And then repeatedly divide it by 2 until we reach either 0 or we reach 1. And if it's 0, we'll know that it's a whole number. And if it's 1, we'll know that it's an odd number, okay? And so I'm going to set a maximum on this of something like, I don't know, 200 or something. just so that we don't end up with it trying to divide a million or something silly or whatever. So what this will do, I'm just going to go ahead and run this just so you can see real quick, is that randomizer is now equal to 1. And if I run it again, this time around, what will it be? Let's see. Randomizer happened to be equal to 1 again. Let's go ahead and run it one more time. And again, 1. Man, we're getting a whole heck of a lot of 1s here. This time it happened to equal 0. Okay, so it's just totally random. We just happened to get a whole bunch of coin flips for 1. All right, that being said, now let's go ahead and go down here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say if randomizer, and we're going to use -eq, and we're going to say 0. So if it's 0, okay, we're going to take the char that we're currently working with, and we're going to send it to be to upper. So if it's 0, we're going to make it uppercase, okay? And we're going to call this new char equals this, okay? Now, what we are going to do here is we are going to take another string called output, okay? And we are going to say output is equal to $output plus $new char. Now, there's one other thing we do need to do here because this uppercase is the char, but once we've done that, what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to convert it back. Actually, no, let's not. We're just going to go ahead and go like this. This is going to go ahead and create this char, okay? If we then go along through here, we're then going to go and say, okay, well, what about when it's 1? Well, when it's equal to 1, we'll do new char is equal to $char.to upper, or actually to lower, and then we'll go ahead and we'll say $output equals $output plus $new char. And at the very end here, what we're going to do, so this is going to run our loop, and then at the very end of our loop, we're just going to write out output. So now we take all of this together and we go ahead and run it. Oh, it's mad. Now, why does it fail? The reason it fails is because the system.char, that type of a character, doesn't contain a method of toUpper. And the reason for that is because chars, or members of that array type, don't contain that string. That was kind of where I was debating earlier. It's like, should we, shouldn't we? Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. So let's go ahead and add this in here to fix this. So what we would do is we would actually say char equals, and we would say $char.toString. And what that will do is it will convert the char back to a string, which then contains the upper. Now we need to copy this line, and we need to paste it back over here. Now, we don't have to do it this way. What we could do, if we wanted to, is we could instead put it out here. And this will then go ahead and let's run this. We'll now randomly generate that string and output it. Back to saying, I absolutely hate ramen, right? Which is, again, we all know is false. Well, I hope this was a entertaining and silly way of viewing this, and I hope that you kind of saw that little error there and kind of saw how we saw it. We were able to read it, understand what it was, and then move on from there in order to fix our code. We'll be talking more about errors a long time in the future, as well as how we can catch them and do things with them, and more things about strings next time. Till next time, I hope you enjoyed this, I hope it was helpful, I hope it was informative. Thanks for watching.